Hey guys, it's Chelsea from The Financial Diet, and this week's video is brought to you by Dashlane. And here with me today is someone you hopefully recognize, and that is Tasha, the host of our Friday show here on The Financial Diet called The Lifestyle Fix, as well as her own channel called One Big Happy Life. You should check both of those out. We'll link you to them. And on her show on TFD, you can learn about everything money and lifestyle, basically how to shop better, have a better home, eat better, do everything in a better, smarter way, while being better with money.
And on One Big Happy Life, we share a lot of content related to our family, like meal prepping and how we budget for a year at a time and how we manage all the things that are involved when you get a little bit older with adulting and kids.
And Tasha happened to be in New York City today working on a very exciting project, which she'll be able to tell you guys more about soon. But I thought I'd take advantage of that and have her up in our studio, aka my home, to ask some questions. So I threw it out to you guys on Twitter, and we picked some of the questions. We get a ton in the comment section of all of our videos, and we're just gonna answer them for you as they come.
Yeah, and I have no idea what they are, so this is like straight off the cuff right now.
So this one's from Twitter. I reached a milestone in savings, but people I'm friends with are uncomfortable with it. What to do?
Wow, get new friends.
Same.
No, I think people they feel challenged when they see other people doing different things. And part of that is like we are communal, societal based animals, right? And so normally we have to fit in with our community. We all have to do the same things. And when people do different things, that would be a threat to our society. But that's not the case anymore. We're not tribal people. And so we all have to learn that it is okay to live life in different but equally happy ways, no judgment. And so that your friends being upset, that's a story that they are telling themselves about what you are doing and what that means for their life. So you just have to do what works for you, because at the end of the day, you've got to do what makes you happy. You're not living your life for your friend, you're living it for yourself.
To me, one of the most unhelpful things that anyone can do is feel guilty about something. Guilt does not help someone, whether it's, you have white male guilt or you have guilt about having a certain amount of money or living in a certain home. You could do something to change it theoretically. Like, for example, if you feel that you have too much money comparatively, like you can give it to causes that are meaningful and can do a lot of good with that money. But feeling badly about it is certainly not going to help anyone. And although it maybe makes you feel better in the moment, it doesn't help you either. So feeling guilty about having a certain amount of money in relationship to your friends does nothing. And if your friends want you to feel guilty about it, I would reconsider how truly friendly you actually are with those people. And unfortunately, it is inescapable that there will be, as she says, we're communal animals. There's going to be some inherent comparison with one another. But if you feel like you reaching a certain level of success in your own life is compromising your friendship, that doesn't speak very highly about that friendship.
Now, I will also just add one small thing, which is to say, perhaps the solution is to ask your friend if that's something that they are interested in achieving and offer to help them get started on that path.
Absolutely, definitely. And we talk a lot on TFD about creating a financial buddy system and really feeling like your friendships are, about reinforcing your good financial habits. But that can't start from a place of envy and awkwardness and shame and guilt. It has to come from a place of like, listen, this is what it is. Do we want to have a better friendship with it, or do we want to allow it to ruin our friendship? Another one from Twitter, which I think is interesting, is how do you not freak out when you're one step away from a goal, which, for example, let's say includes moving to another country?
I don't know. I guess I don't focus so much on the end goal. I think people get way too invested in just reaching the goal. And one thing that I've discovered, having hit many of these milestones that I set for myself, like I decided I wanted to buy a house when I was a teenage mom, I did that. I decided I wanted to go to college and put myself through college. I did that. I decided I wanted to go to Yale. I did that. And so after you hit so many goals, you recognize that the goals just keep coming, but life was the thing that happened in between your goals. And so I don't focus so much on my goals. I focus on living a full life every single day. And yes, I get excited about these things as they are coming up, but at the end of the day, they're gonna happen, and it always feels somewhat anticlimactic. Like every single one
That's
of those
true.
big goals, you feel joy for a split second, and then it's like, oh, that was nice, but now what's next?
Right.
So that's how I stay focused. There'll always be another goal. So what are you doing today that's bringing you joy?
That is a very good point, and my point is basically the same, but I'm a much more negative person than Tasha, so I would just say, like, you could die tomorrow. Like, you may never make it to that other country. You could get hit by a truck, among many other things. But also, you could just not make it to that country because your paperwork doesn't go through. Like, so you have to plan for a life that is fulfilling in either case. And as Tasha says, like, focus on one thing that you're doing that is wonderful today. Also, it's so true that the anticipation, and I think it's actually, they've done studies that show that the anticipation actually causes more pleasure than the actual event itself. Which, fun fact, is why I absolutely hate surprises in almost all of their forms. And I've repeatedly told Mark, like, never surprise me with things because, I mean, gifts obviously, but like if we're going on a trip, like I want to know, I want to plan, I want to look up pictures, I want to pick restaurants, like I want to plan outfits, like enjoy that anticipation, like enjoy having a picture of that country on your inspiration board and like imagining all the stuff you're going to do, because that country's probably not going to be as good in person as it is in your imagination. But yeah, point is you could die, so enjoy today.
Although I am of the you can die mindset too, and that I don't think that's a negative thing. I think that's being a realist, because
That's true.
people always assume that they can always do this later, and then, well, what if later never comes? That's why I say don't put off those things. Start doing them now. Start taking little steps towards it now, because you never know how long you have left.
That's very true. And actually, interestingly, speaking of moving, so I am not a huge fan of New York, and I've talked about that in other videos. And there was like a period, especially last year, and beginning, I guess, to the beginning of this year. So there was a period, especially last year, where I felt pretty depressed about the prospect of being stuck in New York, because especially with my work, like I own a company here, I have to be here. And I had a long conversation with Mark about that specifically, where I sort of just came to the conclusion, like, listen, you have to be in New York for this period of time. So you can either feel bad about it every day and, you know, by feeling that way, make everything seem worse and every inconvenience feel enormous, you know, or you can choose to find what's really awesome about New York in the days that you're here and make the best of it. And so I choose to do that. And also, to be perfectly honest, I think wasn't one of those like psychological studies that showed like even just by the act of smiling, you become happier. Mm-hmm. Like you can choose to will yourself to enjoy things more. So this is a fun question. This is from Twitter as well. You and Tasha both seem so content in literally just being yourselves in the financial literacy space. How do you both stay away from the comparison trap?
So I would say for me, when it comes to personal finance, a lot of it is informed by the fact that I am a banking and finance attorney. So I know many areas of personal finance on a level that frankly a lot of people don't get to see, because they're not looking at financial institutions on the back end, looking at the models, looking at how they determine their pricing structure and their policies. I've looked at small banks and big banks, and I know what all of that looks like. I also know the legal aspect of it, not just, the numbers and, how to calculate like the time value of money, because I know how to do that. But then I know about the way how our laws impact finances. And so when I come at personal finance, it's from a space of being very well informed of those consumer financial products and the laws behind them. But then I also have my own personal experiences and struggles with money, and going from a very disadvantaged place as a single teen mom to now being a lawyer that earns six figures and is very privileged. So all of that informs my view of personal finance, but it's all couched very much in the numbers. And in the personal finance space, not enough. I feel like some of the very biggest people, they don't look at the numbers. It's not about the numbers. It's about propaganda and emotion. And emotion has its place, but propaganda doesn't. And so I give pushback on that. And I just think that the narrative is very wrong, especially couching the way we talk about money and debt in terms of shame-based language, like saying that people are stupid or dumb or morons for the financial decisions that they make. It's never okay to talk to other people like this. I mean, I wouldn't say it to my partner or my children, and I certainly wouldn't say it to anyone else, because we're all deserving of respect. So to the extent that I want to live in a world where people treat each other with respect and with kindness and with grace and compassion, I have to push back against what I see out in the personal finance sphere.
Part of the reason that I love Tasha so much and love having her on TFD is because we share, I think, a vision of money in America that is very different from most of the personal finance space. To be perfectly honest, a lot of the personal finance space is obsessed with the concept of personal responsibility. And yes, that is important to an extent, but it is, I think, even more important to acknowledge that we live in a very broken system where you can make good choices and still end up in terrible situations. And you can also be stuck in cycles that prevent you from getting to a certain place. You know, I'm very aware of the fact that even the most baseline advice that we'll provide to people can only apply to certain people. And that for many people who are caught in systems of inequality, who are caught in the cycle of poverty, even the most sort of quote unquote low numbers can be almost impossible to reach. Even saving $1,000 can be an impossible thing to do. You know, most Americans can't deal with an unexpected $500 emergency. And I think that because most of the community does not like to acknowledge that, and quite frankly, a lot of them think that the system should be even more hardcore about punishing people for mistakes. Similarly to Tasha, I feel ethically obligated to talk about money in a way that acknowledges those things. For example, if you have medical debt, I believe you should do your best to pay it back in a way that will allow you to live a better life, but I believe that medical debt is basically sinful in a country as wealthy as ours. I believe that these are wrong systems. So I think you can have a personal finance conversation that acknowledges those things, and unfortunately, most of the personal finance community, either for political or opportunistic reasons, don't want to acknowledge that and just want to talk, like Tasha said, about the personal responsibility and shame element of it. So when that's the community that you're working in, it is honestly very easy to be yourself when you're not afraid to say, these are broken systems that we're working in.
And just to piggyback briefly and say along those lines, bankruptcy exists for a reason. It is a good thing. It is because we as a society have decided that if people reach a position where they are financially insolvent, we want to give them a road back to becoming financially solvent without them feeling like every single day is a grind and it's this hill of debt that they just can't get over. If you look into it, most of the people who file for bankruptcy feel like it was a huge weight that was lifted off of their shoulders. So that, you know, from a legal perspective, vilifying bankruptcy, that is just totally wrong.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
And we in every way set people up to fail. And if you guys check out last week's video, I talk about the very specific ways in which America is in many ways rigged financially. And if you do feel like it's an unfair system, you are not wrong. You are not crazy. These are wrong things. And you not being perfect in that system is not reflective of you. The PF community has a lot of problems. So if you're willing to speak honestly about those problems, it's not hard to be yourself. So let's ask one more kind of serious question from Twitter, and then we'll do a really fun lightning round of the stuff that we get asked all the time. So the last question from Twitter is, what is the best way to invest when you're just scraping by?
I'm gonna say what I did, and I invested in my education because I just recognized that I didn't have a degree and I had a child that I needed to support and I wanted to make a lot of money. And I don't think there's any shame in wanting to make a lot of money. So rather than focus on, back then, doing side hustles and things like that to make money, more money right then when I needed it, I instead just kind of cut my expenses as much as I could and focused on going to college, getting a college degree so that I could increase my earning potential. Because at the end of the day, there's only so much that you're going to be able to frugalize your budget. But there is unlimited earning potential. I mean, yes, societal constraints, agreed, but in theory, unlimited earning potential. So that's where I would focus. But having said that, you probably want to at least have an emergency fund. So start building your emergency fund so that you're able to support yourself if things go wrong, like if you lose your job. And then after that, you can start investing in a Roth IRA using an index fund.
I know that, you know, as you just said, you're a little bit less inclined to do like the, you know, earn a specific extra money, so have a specific extra stream of money that goes specifically into investing. But I will say that has always been my personality type. I don't have a degree, and especially during the first few years of my writing career when I was, let's just say, not making a lot of money off of writing, like I was just very inclined to always like pick up tutoring jobs and, you know, do odd jobs and do everything I could to just get a little more during those times. And because I personally mentally find that easier to do than to cut more things out of my budget. I'm someone who, even when I was earning very, very little money. Like I never wanted to feel like I couldn't ever go to a restaurant or things like that.
So the one thing I will say though with you were also actively working towards building your career. You
That's
already
true.
had a chosen career.
That's
so
true.
If that's the case, then yes, keep, busting your butt at your career, and the next thing you know, you'll be Chelsea.
Oh. So now let's do a little bit of a lightning round where I'm going to ask us some of the really common questions that we get asked all the time on TFD. And to make it a little fun and interesting, we only have 10 seconds each to answer. So these are going to be super honest. So the first question is, what was your biggest financial mistake ever?
Oh my God, I don't even, okay. I sold my second house and made $50,000, have no idea where that money went.
I completely tanked my credit at 18 and put myself into debt using a Hello Kitty Visa card. What is the best financial decision that you've made recently that you can remember?
Starting our YouTube channel. Because it's grown to be quite lucrative. Like the first year it made $5,000, last year it made $76,000, and this year we anticipate it'll make $100,000 or more. So that's exciting.
That's amazing. For mine, I would say investing in a few home items that I actually love instead of the cheap ones that I've been holding on to for years. Who should pay on the first date?
Split it.
I agree. When was a moment you realized you are good with money?
I don't know. I kind of feel like a couple weeks ago. No, really, because everything that our financial goals they're coming true, and we were able to pay off our $6,000 car in just one fell swoop, and it's like, yes, nailed it, adulting.
Oh, same. I feel like only in the past year, being able to pay myself a true salary out of my company felt like, wow, that's really, really cool, because for the first 2 years of owning it, I didn't take any salary, so definitely that was awesome. What is the rudest thing anyone's ever said or done to you on the job?
Probably someone said that they liked my wig.
What? And I assume you were not wearing a wig.
I don't wear wigs.
Oh my
I don't
goodness.
wear hair extensions. This is my hair.
I used to work at a country club essentially, and I was a secretary, and I had to stay there until the last member left, and that meant often 3 o'clock in the morning because they would get drunk and play poker and whatnot. And just routinely on the way out, the drunk country club members would just shout sexual things at me and whatever other secretary happened to be there. So that was awesome. Love country clubs. What is your biggest goal for 2019?
To put aside $24,000 for 1 year of college for my daughter.
Mine is to keep doing TFD, but better and more. And if you are looking to do something really smart with your 2019, you can start in a really simple way by protecting all of your passwords. And there's no better place to do that than with Dashlane. Dashlane is a password manager app that will make your life infinitely easier and safer. Dashlane generates secure passwords for you so you don't have to worry about remembering every password that has a number, symbol, or capitalized letter. It'll create the safest password possible and remember it for you. It has patented security architecture which encrypts everything so that no one but you can see your information. And if a breach ever does happen, you'll be immediately alerted and notified if you reuse the breach password anywhere else. Go to the link in our description, dashlane.com/TFD, to get a 30-day free trial of Dashlane. And you can use the coupon code TFD to upgrade to premium if you like it with a 10% discount. And premium's great because it allows you to sync your passwords across all your devices, meaning if you get a new phone or laptop, you can just install Dashlane and have all your passwords ready to go for your digital life. So as always, guys, thank you for watching. Do not forget to hit the subscribe button to check out our Tuesday show, her Friday show, as well as our Thursday show, Making It Work. And we'll see you guys here next week. Bye.
Bye.